Welcome back all to another episode. Throughout this episode I'm going to discuss with you a topic called Applied Behaviour Analysis, abbreviated as ABA. This is a very controversial and big topic, so we'll be discussing this throughout a series of episodes. We will not be able to cover it all in just one episode, as it will take hours. So, in this first episode, I'm going to be introducing you to the people behind Applied Behaviour Analysis, of who was involved in producing it. Let's get started. First, it all begins with a psychologist called John Watson. John Watson was critical of Wilhelm Wundt, who turned psychology from a philosophy into a science discipline. But John Watson was a very racist person and very hateful. During his youth, he was arrested twice, just for attacking black people, even though he was a white person in the US. Just imagine how hateful a person must be, a white person, to be arrested for attacking black people in the 19th century. You must be very hateful for that. John Watson also participated in a project called Little Albert. In Little Albert, he made a young boy who had no fear whatsoever of rodents, of mice. He made this boy very phobic to anything which was white and fluffy through something called classical conditioning by someone called Ivan Pavlov, who we shall discuss in a minute. And John Watson was the secretary of a man called Boris Frederick Skinner, who became one of the most famous psychologists of his time. Ivan Pavlov being the second one in this picture, the one who was behind a particular topic where he studied the digestive system of dogs, but eventually he came to find out that people can learn through association. Each time a dog smells food, it automatically salivates. That's called a natural response. But eventually, Pavlov noticed that whenever the dogs heard a bell, that also made them salivate. So he was trying to figure out why. And he noticed that the dogs had associated the two together, but each time they smelt food, they also heard a bell. So each time they heard a bell, they began salivating even if there was no food, and that's what's called a conditioned response. This is what Pavlov found out was how people can learn through association. The third player in producing applied behaviour analysis is someone called Boris Frederick Skinner, the father behind what's called operant conditioning, particularly known as ABC, where the A stands for antecedent, the B stands for behaviour, and the C stands for consequence, where it's believed that we learn through the consequences that our behaviours are shaped by the consequences, that we've got no free will, that we have no control whatsoever over our actions. We are controlled by the environment. So up to now, Skinner, he did most of his work on rodents and pigeons, but wrote most of his books about people. What Skinner managed to do was he was able to modify the behaviour of animals inside a cage through electronic shocks, through shooting pellets at the animal, by rewarding it food and giving it instructions. And by doing so, he was able to modify the animal's behaviour. And he did make so many discoveries. But as science has continued, we've come to find many problems with these discoveries. We've come to find so much evidence against them. The fourth and final player inside producing applied behaviour analysis is someone called Oliver Lovas. Lovas, just after World War II, immigrated from Norway across to the United States to study psychology under B.F. Skinner. And as he did so, he noticed that B.F. Skinner was able to modify a rat's behaviour. And once he noticed this, he thought to himself that he could do this to autistic people and to gay people. Lovas participated in what's called the Feminine Boy Project, where he was whipping a boy just for expressing feminine behaviours. He's the founder of Applied Behaviour Analysis. He's the one who founded it. An intervention typically used on autistic children. It uses virtually the same techniques as gay conversion therapy. And once Lovas saw that B.F. Skinner modified the behaviour of animals in a cage, he genuinely believed that he could make non-autistic people autistic, autistic people non-autistic, and he thought he could make gay people straight. He genuinely believed he could do that. But he opened his own centre where he began trying to convert and began doing conversion therapies. And after doing so, this was when all the controversial issues began, as the autistic community began shouting out against this treatment. So the players behind producing Applied Behaviour Analysis, John Watson, who criticised Wilhelm Wundt and began the behaviourist approach, Ivan Pavlov, who discovered classical conditioning, B.F. Skinner, who was the one behind operant conditioning, and Oliver Lovas, who was the one who opened the ABA intervention. In our next episode, we will discuss of how Oliver Lovas decided to use classical conditioning and operant conditioning on children and what kind of things he did. If you made it this far, thank you for listening, and I will see you on the next episode.